Hello.
What's up?
It's been a while. Thank you for coming, and also we welcome.
The public doesn't know
Not
who
yet.
you are.
The tagline is "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the meeting of the Planning Board of the Village of Rye Brook. Let us rise for a pledge of allegiance."
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So long, we forgot our tagline. Anyway, welcome, and all those who are out there in TV land watching our streaming video, welcome to you. My name is Rob Goodman. I'm chair of the Planning Board. Also in attendance tonight are my colleagues Donald Crum, Scott Mendelson, Jeffrey Richmond, and Amy Schoen. John Gerzan is excused. He's in Croatia right now. And Matt Retner will probably show up maybe later. We will see. Also in attendance is our village attorney, Robert Zitt, our superintendent of public works, Michael Nowak, and our village planning consultant from Hardesty and Hanover, Sarah Brown. Our planning board secretary is Tara Orlando, who we thank for all the effort she made on putting together our minutes for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I think we're up to date, and that is Tara's doing. And, oh yes, and I always forget, the most important man in the room, David Heiser, who's our liaison from the Board of Trustees. Welcome, David. You have to pipe up and say, what about me, right? You see, our first item is dealing with the minutes, and we have actually a number of minutes to deal with, and what I realize is that not all of us were here for all of these minutes, so there are some minutes without certain people and some minutes with, so I'm going to try to do this quickly through them. And you know, we'll just have to adopt them or not adopt them. But anyway, the most recent minutes were December 14th, 2023. Scott and Jeff, you were actually absent. So I'm not even sure we have a quorum because Matt's not here.
They can vote.
They can vote?
Yeah, they can vote on the minutes.
Oh, for the minutes? All right, well, then we don't have a problem.
Is it? Esquire?
Oh, wait a minute. If they weren't here, they can,
If they were absent at the meeting,
Yeah.
they can still adopt the minutes. Can we do that?
How would they know if they were fair?
right.
You have to read the minutes.
But they weren't,
Yes, but even if you read
If
them
they
and you
watched
weren't
the
at the
video?
meeting, how do you know?
they would have to watch the video and read the
Right.
minutes.
I do think in the past, our practice has been that those people that did not attend these sessions abstained. And that probably makes sense. And there's no great urgency to have to get them done tonight. So I would say, you know, those minutes that we don't have a quorum for of voting members, you know, we'll just defer it until next month. So we'll defer December until next month. And November minutes, everyone was here, so we can take a vote unless anyone has any comments relating to the November minutes.
Nope.
Okay, let's have a motion
Move.
and a second to adopt them. Okay.
Mr. Crum?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Schoen?
Yes.
Chairman Goodman?
Yes. The October minutes, everyone was here, so I can have a motion and a second to
Moved.
adopt those minutes.
Second.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Mr. Mendelson?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Schoen?
Yes.
Chairman Goodman?
Yes. Okay, this is the September 2023 minutes. John wasn't here and Matt wasn't here.
14th.
September 14th, 2023. John wasn't here, Matt wasn't here, everyone else was here, so we can have a motion and a second.
Second.
Mr. Crum?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson?
Yes.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Schoen?
Yes.
Chairman Goodman?
Yes. The July 13th, 2023 minutes, again, Scott and Matt weren't here, but so it's, I think we have enough people, so, okay.
Moved.
Second.
Oh, John isn't here.
Oh, he
So-
wasn't here?
Yeah, he would, no, he's not here now. So it's just me, Don, okay, we can still do
we
it.
can.
We can still do it. All right.
I
Motion is
reiterate, moved.
Second.
So Amy, motion, Jeff Richmond, second.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Abstain.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Chairman Goodman.
Yes,
So that's a no.
Yeah.
It's passed. It's good. 4.
we have 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes,
Yeah,
that's
I
right, yes,
Thought I
sorry.
counted
Four.
before. I
Yep,
got
yep, yep, yep. No, I was, sorry, yes.
And our last minutes is June 8th, 2023. John wasn't here, Don wasn't here, Matt wasn't here, but
That leaves 4.
that still leaves 4.
Yeah, but there's only 3 of us here that were here.
Well, I'm here, Scott's here, Jeff
I'm here.
and
Oh.
Amy,
4.
so we have
It's
4.
4. Moved.
All right,
The same thing.
Moved.
motion is second.
Second. So Amy and Jeff Richmond.
Mr. Crum,
Tag team for the night.
Abstain.
Mr. Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Chairman Goodman.
Yes. Okay, we can actually do the December minutes now. You're here, Matt. Just come in, just in time.
It wasn't
for the
easy.
vote.
Moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, this is our December 14th, 2023 minutes. Again, now we have a quorum for those minutes, so motion in a second.
Moved.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Abstain.
Mr. Rettner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Abstain.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Chairman Goodman.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was a lot
Right.
of reading to do.
All right, well, we
Enormous amount of reading.
All right,
to do.
all those minutes.
got
very
it
good.
done.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again to Tara for doing that.
Yes.
Now we're up to date, and it's actually going to be really important to be up to date, because starting over the summer, we're going to get this huge project
Yeah.
from Doral Green,
Yeah.
and it's going to be really important for us to keep track of the minutes so that we can review the minutes from the month before, because I hope there'll be a lot of activity, and it'll be really helpful for us to do that, so, good. Okay, our first and only application is 545 and a half Westchester Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Gary Gianfrancesco from Arconics Architecture PC. We're the architects and planners representing Castanea LLC with regard to this lot merger application, which is before you. The first exhibit that I put up on the board shows the development of this property, which predates the establishment of the village of Rye Brook. The building permit was issued by the town of Rye in 1975, 1976. The properties were in an R2F zone. Permitted uses at the discretion of the town board at that time would permit 2 professional spaces and 1 dwelling unit. The requisite number of parking spaces, 7, are indicated on the plot plan. The permit was issued to construct a new building. A CO was issued for the same. The plot plan, which is in the upper left-hand corner, shows the permitted site development, and which is how it has existed for 48 years now. This is really a housekeeping matter. The lot line should have been dissolved at the time a permit was issued, because neither of the lots could support the uses that are on them as of right.
Do you have like an image that can show us exactly how the lots are contiguous with one another?
Yeah, well, the
There's
next-
one- Yeah, there's one that's sort of like nestled up against the building itself, and then there's another lot that's contiguous to it, I think.
So, if I could point.
Yeah.
So the lot line is right here.
Okay,
So this was a 50 by 100, 50 by 100, and this was an irregular shaped parcel.
okay,
So it's that lot line
yeah,
which we are looking to dissolve. And
okay,
and the main purpose of this action is currently I have 2 tax bills, but more importantly, I have 2 insurances. And the lot that just supports the parking is a very difficult thing to insure as a standalone.
Right, right.
So from our perspective, nothing's going to change when you eliminate the lot line. It'll just represent the status quo and what should have been done, quite some time ago.
Right, okay. Okay, Sarah, are there any planning issues with respect to this application? I saw your memo, but,
No, we didn't have any planning issues. There was just a notation that's required by the subdivision law to be put on the plat, but that was it.
okay. Board members, any questions for the applicant?
Does it change, not that we're the zoning board, but does it change the zoning, having a combo? Does it allow you to do more with the combination lot than 2 lots?
No, it just makes lawful the development that's on there, actually.
Does it take away the half
But
from
doesn't
the
it-
address?
No.
Interesting,
Takes away the 0 Hawthorne Avenue from the address.
right, okay. All right, okay, what we'll do is, unless there are any other questions for you, any questions?
Well, Donald asked about zoning. Does it change the setbacks at all? Because of what you're,
Existing non-conforming. Or existing, the conforming depends on what it would, existing house, existing lot.
I guess if you were building something new on it,
Have to-
then it would have to conform with the current setback regulations, but there's.
Once
no
the
change.
lot line is removed, can you then separate it and sell it as a lot, a single lot?
Honestly, I don't believe so, because the remnant parcel doesn't meet the
I
criteria.
understand, no, that's not what I'm saying. I said if he eventually wants to sell off that piece, can you do that?
Once we eliminate the line, it's one
Okay.
site development.
are both lots owned by the same, was it one deed?
No,
It's 2 deeds?
deeds,
Is it 2 owners?
Same
or
owner.
Same owner.
same owner.
Same owner. Same owner.
And the requirements are the same, essentially, for the dwelling and the residential part? The professional and the dwelling?
I'm not
How
sure.
many professionals are in the property now?
There are 2 professional offices,
Right.
which were what was permitted,
Right.
and 1 apartment.
And 1 apartment, okay.
Isn't-
And that won't change?
It's the same zone, right?
Correct.
Okay.
What caused this to happen now? Like, why is this application being made at this time?
Well, frankly, it's to eliminate 2 tax bills
Money.
and 2 separate insurance policies.
Money.
I recently came in possession of the property.
Oh, okay.
And it came to light during the financing process. And it defied logic, but here we are.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. All right, well, we'll schedule a public hearing for this next month, have a quick vote on it, so that you can do what you need to do and eliminate these extra expenses that you've incurred. Sarah, you have the resolution?
I do. Whereas an application has been submitted for approval of a subdivision lot merger involving the consolidation of the properties located at 545.5 Westchester Avenue and 0 Hawthorne Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook will hold a public hearing on May 9, 2024, at Village Hall, or in a virtual format that may be necessary depending on public health concerns. Be it further resolved that the applicant is hereby directed to comply with Section 25040 of the Village Code regarding notification of public hearings.
Okay. Unless there are any comments regarding the resolution, can I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution scheduling the hearing?
Second.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
yes.
Mr. Retner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Chairman Goodman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you
see
very
you
much.
next month. Thank you.
See you
Thank
next
you.
month.
Okay, our last item is a discussion item regarding this report and recommendation that has been hanging around for a while.
Next one.
And I've circulated it, I circulated it online, I think about a week or 2 ago. I haven't received any comments. I did receive John's comments, and he seemed to be okay with it. I really struggled with this, with my colleagues, Sarah and Rob. I don't think there's a lot that we could,
Use the mic?
okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Everybody
Yeah.
remember to
yeah.
come close.
Yeah, we really sort of struggled with this in trying to come up with a sort of a framework for making some recommendations that could be helpful to the Board of Trustees. Essentially, it's a procedural institutional thing. It's really difficult to track what happened with the comprehensive plan back in 2014. I think the general consensus of the board was that it was a well-written plan. It laid out recommendations that were clear. The problem is that there was no really, I call it a tracking mechanism implemented at the time, so that it was possible to really track these recommendations through. And I gave an example of one in the report and recommendation to illustrate what the problem is. A very clear recommendation relating to zoning, which is an area that I think the village has a lot of authority over in terms of encouraging and discouraging types of development. There was a clear recommendation made in the comprehensive plan. No idea what happened to it. So the bottom line was, I thought that it made sense for the Board of Trustees to at least consider maybe establishing a separate committee, a standing committee that would look into these issues more carefully, and on a going forward basis, maybe try to come up with some institutional inserts to help track some major areas that we want to track, such as the results of zoning changes that have been made, results of procedural changes that may have been made. We don't know whether any of these changes have helped or hurt the community. There are no statistics taken regarding them. Our demographics are very old. I have no idea who's living in the village now. So we need to update that stuff. And I think it would be good to have a group of people who are interested in the village's development to be sort of seeing through this process on a more ongoing basis than every 10 years. So,
Well,
Any- go ahead.
I just would like to commend you on the synopsis. I think it was really very good. And I think it from my point of view, it captured the sense of what I think the areas of agreement that we had as a board at our last meeting regarding this. And I think it got to the essentials, because I think we all agreed that as a guideline, the plan is really stellar. I think it's stellar. I always did think it was excellent. But this is needed. I believe this is needed.
Yeah, it's one of the stuff, and actually, Sarah, for you and your colleagues, I think it's, so this is an interesting issue to deal with. The tracking issue is a real serious problem. And a lot of money goes into developing these comprehensive plans. I think almost just as much in the way of resources has to go into helping villages figure out ways of identifying the variables they want to track and create institutional mechanisms to track it. And that would require coordination of, let's say, building departments, other sort of departments within the village that actually do the work on the ground in order to maybe keep statistics of what they're doing that to help track a variable, so that at the end of a certain period of time, you just crunch the numbers and you come up with what's actually happened. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. And as a firm that prepares comprehensive plans, this was something that we had noticed was going undone. You always talk about a comprehensive plan. You want it to be a living document. You don't want it to sit on the shelf.
But it dies.
And yeah, because it dies. And Neil Desai, my colleague, when he was doing the latest comprehensive plan that we worked on, he came up with how to do this matrix and to keep the tracking mechanism. And it's something that we're going to continue to recommend to any community that we do a comprehensive plan for, because it's not really an extra cost. It's something that just gets developed as the plan
It's
goes.
built in.
Yeah.
But there is the plan as the strategic document, and then there's the operational plan, which is how you're supposed to implement and track what's in the plan. And I think traditionally that has been lacking. And we are an
Yes.
absolute example of that happening.
And you're not alone.
Right.
Basically, everyone has the same issue with their comprehensive plan.
Right. Yeah.
I like this a lot, but I have one comment / question. When you say standing, I realize we haven't, let's say, there's been no official mechanism to look at, what's happened with the plan that's almost 10 years old. Once everybody goes through that one time, I mean, is this going to be an annual exercise, or is this, could the committee sort of it's trying to figure out what is meant by standing.
Well, one of the things I think the three of us struggled with was how much detail we should really put to this, because I think it's really very much a judgment call, and it really depends on sort of the volume and headiness of the development that is going on. If there are a lot of things going on, then I think it would be helpful to have a group of people sort of monitoring how the plan is being implemented in practice, and they can actually provide a lot of information to bodies like ours, which are working on a development project, and we want to know, well, how is this development project fitting into the comprehensive plan? And there would be maybe numbers that they could provide. Which, a standing committee, I put it in there, it's a recommendation. Is it something that is in stone? No. There may be a decision at the end of the day to just set up a committee to try to create some linkage between the comprehensive plan that we have and what's going on, and then we'll see what happens. But I think the idea of having a body of people out there that is going to be monitoring the development of the village in accordance with the comprehensive plan is a big hole in our institutional development as a village, and probably in a lot of other villages. Whether it ends up being a standing committee or a temporary committee that's like the ethics committee. My wife was on the ethics committee. They met for twice a year for an entire year for like 2 years, and that I don't know whether they've ever met since. So I think there's a lot of flexibility built into this, but I think in terms of the recommendation, I think it'll get the BOT's attention if we recommend it to be a standing committee, and then they can talk about whether it should be a standing committee.
Right, and how long and how often.
How long and how many people should, there's a lot of unanswered questions about who should compose this committee, how often they should meet. But I think that I could make up this stuff. We could make up this stuff as a recommendation, but I didn't feel like we had any principled basis for making any recommendation as to what the content of the committee should be.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's what we agreed upon with this, that we don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, because what if the Board of Trustees isn't interested in doing something like this?
Or isn't it redundant? The comprehensive plan isn't binding. People are going to be elected to the Board of Trustees based on whatever issues are relevant at that time and their positions on them. They have no obligation to have future policy provisions linked to the comprehensive plan.
Oh, no,
Why?
I don't agree. I disagree with that.
Isn't the comprehensive plan enacted by the Board of Trustees?
Yes, it
approved
is.
by the
But
Board
it's
of
not
Trustees?
binding.
Every zoning decision or planning decision made by the village, thank you, thanks, has to be in line with the comprehensive plan.
comprehensive
So,
plan.
in some respects, it has to be a document that, the planning board and the zoning board and the village board of trustees binds themselves to.
Right. And state law requires it,
Right.
right?
Yes.
We have to
Yeah.
come up with a
I
comprehensive
thought it was
plan.
optional. The plan itself is optional.
Yeah, what's the law on it? No?
You're not required to have a comprehensive plan.
So my village, for example, where I live, doesn't have one, and they're just considering one, and it's a village that's been around
Yeah.
since
So if
the
the Board of-
1800s.
So if the Board of Trustees want to make a change to the zoning code that conflicted with the comprehensive plan, they couldn't do that?
They could do that, but that would be basis for a lawsuit, right? So, in some litigations where somebody is challenging something that a board has done, whether it be approve a project or disapprove a project, on occasion, we'll see a cause of action related to the comprehensive plan and whether or not that development or proposed action is in line with it.
Right. Now, our comprehensive plan has been, I think, broadly framed enough that we haven't run into those types
Right.
of issues. But we have had applicants, like in 900 King Street, that in their first presentation made the point that their project was consistent with the comprehensive plan and that it should be approved based on that issue. That was one of the major issues that they raised, which is the first time I had heard of the comprehensive plan being quoted back to us in support of an application.
Well, look, also, you don't have to be bound to an approval of a project simply because the proposed action is in line with the comprehensive plan.
Right. That was the advice that we had at the time as well, is that it did not limit our authority as a planning board to consider planning considerations and deciding whether or not the project was appropriate. But it did establish a certain big picture framework
Right.
that this was the type of project that was consistent with the development goals of the village. And so that was, and that I don't think was a controversial. But theoretically, it could have been controversial. You could have had a board of trustees with a completely different concept of development, which is possible. But I think that part of it is that if you take a comprehensive plan and it's not a living document, and there's no way of making it relevant to the decisions that you're making, it will die of neglect. I mean,
Right.
people just won't pay any attention to it. But I think, in the past, one of the things that has struck me as being positive about a comprehensive plan is it does give us some arrows in our quiver to push back against projects that we don't think are appropriate. It gives us cover. It may give the applicants an argument, but it also gives us reasoning for saying, there's the density of this project is too much. Or, we can't have, units with 6 homes in it. It does give us a certain sort of frame within which we can sort of make decisions and be guided by certain sort of big picture goals that the village has. And what we may find, if we do set up, even in the short term, a committee to look at this, contrary to what our evaluation may be, they may think that the comprehensive plan is completely out of whack, that the demographics are completely different, that the needs of the village are completely different. I thought this was, why don't you talk about this a little bit, because I thought that's.
What Rob's talking about, we talked when we were talking about the comprehensive plan, and David pointed out that we should have information about what the community really wants and not try to infer based on our own judgment. But what I noticed was Shelley Mayer, who's a New York State senator to New York State, not the federal, sent out a questionnaire a few months ago asking the same kind of questions that we were wrestling with, like, what's your greatest concern? Is it flooding? Is it safety? Is it good jobs? Is it housing costs? That kind of thing. And it's only about 6 or 7 questions, and then it's very limited sort of demographic. And I was thinking if we contacted her office rather than doing our own survey and getting her results, it might give us some input. I don't know if they can do sort of a cut of just our village versus maybe the broader voting district, but it could give us some insight on,
Sure they can.
and it asks you to rank, like, how important is flooding versus the schools or something like that. So it's pretty interesting.
It's going to have some kind of sampling bias if we just go off hers. Like a politician.
Well, it's free.
But we could.
I mean, look, it could be interesting to see if there are any
Yeah,
results.
you're right.
Because right now, we're sort of operating on nothing.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And it may, it may be, inform us on maybe a short questionnaire that the village can have on its website on a continuous basis. and have people on an ongoing, you get up on the website, oh, I have you look at the survey and it'll take these statistics it won't be just like every year you do this for like 3 weeks. It'll be like on the website and the statistics will change, data will change on a real-time basis, and that may not be such a bad idea either.
Do any municipalities have, as part of their submissions?
People, please talk into the mic.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Do any municipalities that you know of, Sarah, have upon like I don't know how you would do it in a local tax document or something, but some sort of census when you purchase or sell? Does anybody utilize that kind of data to keep track of numbers and ages and?
Oh, sure. I'm sure they do.
Because I see all the discharge compliance certificate, like each village is starting to, I'm seeing more and more of those, so I'm wondering if anybody does.
I can't point to a specific example for sure, but Michael said that possibly Mamaroneck may do that on their website.
Maybe. Because that would give us a lot of information if the people coming in, the people going out.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, in the discussion we had, you mentioned that the village is actually sort of moving maybe in this direction, that there's some software. I don't know, maybe you can recapitulate. I don't want to.
So the building department is a few weeks away from going to a digital application platform and permitting process for all the permits, and multiple departments are going to be utilizing that program, but I'm not sure if these key factors can be tapped into any of that. I would need to know what those 4 or 5 items would be that the board may want to track, and I could ask the company to see if they'd be able to, on the back end, at least internally, track something. So, I mean, I just need a framework of what you want.
So we'll have a lot of information that we can tap.
The tax assessor.
Tax assessors.
The assessor's only going to have who's on the roll. So you're going to have, that's why I'm looking at like if there's some sort of form to, welcome to Rybrook, this is the, how many people do you have living there? Is it going to be a rental property? Is it going to be I don't even know if that's legal, but.
That's in the hall,
The census has
There
that.
are records of those.
Yeah.
The census has, the census is public information.
Yeah,
That's done every 10 years.
yeah.
So,
Right, but I don't think I think it's sort of national aggregated. I'm not sure how it breaks down, maybe by state, but I'm not sure, does it get?
by zip code, yeah, by some,
By,
yeah. Oh, that's true.
right.
That's
right.
true.
Mike, it's actually worth asking the company about what sort of stats, because with AI and everything like that, I know a lot of companies are beginning to do that sort of thing, that they have sort of back end, as you say, sort of back end number crunching, and very, very quickly, if you identify what you want, they can put together sort of a data profile for you.
So if I were to ask them, what would be 2 or 3 points that we would be looking for? Like, what would be an example or 2 or 3 examples of what you're looking for?
Well, for instance, take something like how many people are purchasing multifamily homes. I mean,
Yeah, see, because that's not a real estate program, it's a permitting process, so it wouldn't track that.
I see.
That would be the assessor's office then.
Well, the school district probably has some of these stats too. Like, I'd be curious, as like school-age population trends. Do they see it growing, shrinking?
I mean, they
staying
must
the same?
look at
They
it.
must look at
They,
it.
they have that data, sure they do.
Now, I realize we have 2 school districts in our village. So we'd have to, do they have a breakdown of, how many in each village, et cetera?
Each school district hopefully has its own breakdown.
Yeah, right.
Right. And then does Portchester separate it out?
Do they separate it out that we could aggregate it back, yeah.
Right. I want to continue this discussion, but I know, Scott, you have a deadline.
7:30.
7:30. So what I'd like to do is see if everyone is in accord on the report and recommendation, to deal with that and at least, finish that up as part of our what we're doing here. And then if we want to continue our discussion about, how we can, what sort of variables we can maybe track and continue, that's fine. And then Scott can do his parental duties.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. Are there any, modifications or changes that anyone would like to make? Okay.
Not for me.
All right. If everyone is in accord, can I have,
Before you,
oh, yes, go ahead.
I want to show you something from you.
From me. Ah, okay. We have another discussion topic after we get through with this, which is the green building.
I want to point out that was
That's
from
right.
you.
And that is, you're correct. And thank you,
That's why I
David,
wore my
for
green shirt.
making me eat my own words.
Took the words
Took the
right out of my
words
mouth.
right out of my mouth, literally. And maybe you can explain it a little better too. But anyway, can I have a motion and a second to adopt the report and recommendation to the Board of Trustees?
Second.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Retner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Chairman Goodman.
Yes. And then we need another motion and second to send it on to the Board of Trustees.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Retner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Chairman Goodman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, David, let's talk about green buildings.
Sure.
I did-
Basically, the Board of Trustees is very interesting.
David, you got to,
The mic.
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, but you have to, unless you have your own mic there.
For the record.
Yeah, I can use my name when I got sworn in, so why should I use it?
I'm not getting on that.
The Board of Trustees is very interested in possibly making changes to our zoning code to incorporate more ideas of getting buildings to be greener, if there is such a word. New buildings and renovated buildings. And so what we're looking for are two members of the planning board to sit in on what probably will not be a standing task force. It will be a temporary task force to take part in this sort of discussion of how we can make new buildings and renovated buildings greener. And from there, I leave it up to your chairperson
All right.
to
Well, I did, you guys saw my
encourage
email.
interest.
Does anyone have any interest in in participating?
I'm interested if you're interested in a skeptic. In other words, if you just want someone to rubber stamp it, I hate to use that word, but I have green credentials. In other words, I have 30 solar panels on my roof. I've driven a hybrid car for 18 years. I developed renewable energy plans for 20 years. But I'm also a skeptic in that I think one of our issues is affordability. I think some of these leads things, I was a private investor in a residential leads developer for a while, and I found out that it added costs and the market wasn't necessarily willing to pay for it. But that was a while ago.
But that sounds like a very useful
I think it's very useful.
piece of
But
information.
I may want to make it, so I don't want to like prejudge, but I'm not going to necessarily
No,
be, I'll be skeptical. Let me put it that way.
I think the reason why the Board of Trustees is interested in establishing a committee is to evaluate whether or not this is something that the village should move into, which could be a decision not to.
This is not my baby, to be
Okay.
honest with you. And so therefore, I can only tell you that I think input with somebody who is familiar with these issues would be invaluable.
There you go.
Right.
This is not a fait accompli.
No.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We haven't
And-
started
and
it yet.
even in terms of the mindset of the board.
As far as I know, it's not,
Okay.
unless they've done it behind my back, which
I doubt that.
they are free to do. I think this is something that the mayor really feels strongly about.
Strongly at looking or strongly at implementing?
we have nothing to implement, so we are in the looking
Okay.
phase.
I mean, I did read the memo that was prepared by the law firm, you know, doing a survey of what other communities had done or not done. But that's,
But that,
yeah,
so
that's, you're saying the extent of
we
it so
have
far.
absolutely nothing to
Okay.
implement.
Okay.
At this point in time, it's all,
Yeah.
just
A lot of
chewing
this
on
stuff
ideas.
is worrisome in a way.
What's that?
I said a lot of this, I believe a lot of it is a little worrisome in terms of heading in the direction of mandates, which take volunteerism out of it, and that disturbs me if that's a mindset going in.
As far as I know, there is no mindset.
Okay.
This is
All right, I'll take your
literally,
word for it.
we're trying to
Okay,
figure
it
out,
could
maybe the
be-
code doesn't need to be changed at all.
Or,
Maybe
or
we're
it could
thrilled
be,
with the code as it is.
or it could be a series of voluntary recommendations, standards that we would recommend that builders, and they may do it because it's good press for them to do it. Don't know, but it sounds like it's an open issue, and, but,
Good for exploration.
but it's good.
As far as I know, it's a tabula rasa.
Yeah. Anyone else beside me?
You're interested? Yeah.
Well, it's
We were
it's not
looking
my,
for two from the
it's not
planning
my
board.
strong
I think there
suit.
will be two people from my board. I don't know who from my board it will be. Please, I
Okay.
literally know nothing other than the fact that I was asked to speak
Okay.
to.
Well, how about this?
The
For the
chair.
sake of being able to move things forward, Don has been kind enough to volunteer. I will volunteer too.
Okay.
But if another board member is interested in this, I'm happy to step down and have them take over.
You seem
So I-
borderline eager.
I'm not, and it's no. But I don't want to hold up the process.
I understand. And I don't even know if any further thought since I sent you the original email has been given to this process. Because it's not been mentioned to me other than by, I think it was Chris said, oh, by the way, did anybody from the planning board volunteer?
Right. Well, you can say that you have Don and me, and, we'll, happy to participate. It would be interesting to see what other members of the village think about this, because I have solar panels on which
I
I'm
know-
still
I know
paying,
you
which
do.
I'm still paying
Yeah.
for. And it's a really fine line between, what is really environmentally sound and would really advance the ball and having sort of a green community, and that it's a fad that everyone's just chasing after, which ends up being extremely costly, and you're not really improving the environment at all. So, it's an open, it's an interesting idea. I'm interested in exploring
And
it.
I assume we're going to want to have at least one person from the zoning board also.
Yeah.
As I say, this is not my baby.
Right.
Because I'm liaison here, I've been tasked with,
Well, you can show me my own emails.
yes.
You have the standing to do that. But yeah, you can tell the powers that be, whoever is interested, that they have at least two on their committee, and let us know when you're meeting. And again, for other board members, if it's something that all of a sudden you wake up in the middle of the night and you say, I have to be on this committee, it's fine.
You
You can
will
be on this
graciously
committee.
step
I will graciously step aside.
Thank you very
Not a
much.
problem. There you go. All right, well, Scott, we're meeting that deadline. Any other, last thing, educational programming. Next month, we may not have any applications. I have no idea. We will. We actually have one, at least one. We have one today, and we have another one coming down the pike. Okay. But there is an educational program proposed by Sarah on what was it, Sarah? It was on the effects of development.
As eager as I am to volunteer, I believe on our call Bob was going to be doing
Oh,
it.
Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob. Yeah. What was it? What did we call it?
Impacts of development and mitigation.
Right. And that could be very relevant to some upcoming applications that we have on that. So, and we need to do some educational programming. We have 4 hours, I think, that we have to to
Yeah.
meet.
Starting
and
at what time? At regular time or?
Good.
This is, I think we're putting the cart before the
I don't
horse.
think the two applications we have, the one we're dealing with today is going to take like 5 minutes.
Right.
And then the next one, it's a public hearing. We have to schedule the public hearing for that. So, and we don't have any other discussions. So I think we can probably do it afterwards. It would start like around now, probably earlier, around 7 o'clock. And I think it would be, I think, Bob has some ideas of issues that he would like to deal with, and I think that would be very helpful to us.
Great.
Okay?
Start at 6?
Huh?
I don't think so. I think we'll be able to do this within normal time. I think if we start at 6:30, I think we'll probably get through our applications within 45 minutes.
And then training.
And then the training,
Yeah, and
which I would rather do than be even earlier, quite frankly. I
in
can only
advance
get
of the
out-
training, I'd like to have a phone call, possibly.
Oh, before the training?
Yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
absolutely, okay.
Before the-
And to me,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
just to discuss what we would be discussing.
Okay, got it.
Can I put in one advertisement?
Yeah.
I went to the training that was suggested, Mike. No, there was a thing circulated, Westchester County of, I don't know, Board of Planners or something,
It's
offers
the-
training sessions.
That's where we
And I
all had
went,
to go years
okay,
ago.
I went to that, and it was really well done. It was 2 one-hour sessions. We could, I don't know if we'd want to go back to something like that, but like it was,
We're
there was
doing
like
this because
30 people in a session. They were very well prepared. They were 1 hour each.
Yeah.
So I went to 2 one-hour sessions.
Did you find them sort of like very relevant?
Yeah, yeah. I went to one on explanation about flood planning,
Oh, okay.
how to review flood plans that are submitted by developers, and one on advanced planning techniques or whatever, which actually covered some about this when people want to come up with irregular lot sizes, and it was interesting.
If you think it's relevant, the reason why we got away from that is that we found that these sessions were not helpful at all.
Well, they were extremely repetitive to
I see.
begin with, and they
I
were
see.
mandated that we go. For somebody
It's a
like
good
me,
starting point, but
year
yeah.
after year
Yeah.
after year to the same
I believe
thing,
that,
the
yeah.
same people saying the same thing. It was a prepared.
There was like 8 sessions, but
Yeah,
I could see
right.
they probably
That's what it
don't
is. Right.
cover everything.
And they
over
were
again.
not relevant to Rybrook at all.
Some of them
Rarely.
are-
I mean,
are-
Yeah, I
once
have
in a
no idea
while,
whether
yes.
next year I
Once
get
in a
anything out
while.
of it, yeah.
Right.
But
But yeah, okay, it's when Chris circulates those things, it's probably worth taking a look. Because, if we're doing all these educational sessions, I would say, well, we'll just wait for the educational sessions, but I mean, it's already the summer. I don't think we've even begun meeting our quota for this year.
And the one usually takes place in the beginning of the year. They're probably already finished. There might only be one left.
What is interesting, though, is you meet other planning board people, and you talk to them about, like in the breaks, and you talk to them about what they're dealing with. And they're dealing with, like,
Right.
global warming, and the Hudson River estuary is raising, and they're trying to, the river communities are trying to figure out what to do,
I'm not saying they're not
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, when you're getting acclimated to being on a planning board,
Right.
you're learning
And
about
that's
what
me,
it
yeah.
is. That's
Yeah.
when it's really, really good to go.
Maybe send the new members like me,
Yeah.
No, they could have changed their curriculum, and it's probably something that
probably
people
gets
look
stale.
at.
But
Yeah,
after the
yeah.
6th or 7th or 8th or 9th or 20th year,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get sick
I
of
can
it.
see that, I can see that,
Right, right.
definitely.
Okay,
Would
yeah.
the world come to an end, and I'm not trying to be facetious, if the Rybrook Planning Board ever said, let's get together with the Portchester Planning Board, relatively,
Oh, you're
No.
kidding me.
Well, this is the,
have any common problems?
We can watch our plans fight.
look at, I think that would require some pre-planning for sure, and there would have to be, I think, issues that we both could learn something from that could improve.
And a willingness to do that.
Yeah.
I know one person on the Portchester Planning Board.
Right.
Yeah, and they said I met one guy on there, and he said they're dealing with, for instance, talk about green buildings, they're dealing with flood control built into the rooftops of some of these new buildings. You know how we have the Coltex, what are they called, Coltex?
Yep.
In some of these city lots, they have a lot of, they can't put Coltex in, so they build retention ponds on the roofs covered with green, and I mean, they're dealing with this in real time, so, I mean, not that that would be applicable to us necessarily, but,
Well, it could-
yeah.
it's not, I mean, look, I think all of us are open to talk to anyone who wants to talk to us. And it's simply a matter of having an agenda that is actually going to be useful for both parties, because it's. Yeah, and look, if you want to have them give me a call and we can chat and brainstorm about things that, you know, we're concerned about and things that they're concerned about, and, you know, use that as a sort of a starting point. Look, I think that development is regional, and so on that basis, it is sort of important for us to know what other communities are dealing with, particularly the Portchester community, which is our bedroom community. So I'm really open to it. So, you know, just, you know, if you want to, you know, email me the guy's name and I can reach out to him.
Dr. Jesse Berkowitz,
Okay. Okay.
husband with the Portchester side of Betsy Brown.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to speak to him. I'm interested in what his thoughts are, and we can go from there. But I think it's a really good idea and principle. I think the issue is in the devil in the details sort of thing. It's like, are we really concerned about the same things, or is it so different that it's really not going to be that useful to us or them?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, worth a discussion, though. Okay, we're all done. I guess a motion and a second to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Short and sweet.
good.